Welcome back to the Time Space Visualizer. Another week, another episode of Doctor Who. Before we get into the review of today, which is, I'm sure you guessed, Dot and Bubble, I feel like we just need to take a moment to pay respects to an absolute legend.
Yeah.
About an hour ago, before we started filming, we learned of the very sad passing of William Russell, who has passed away at the age of 99. Now, if you don't know, William Russell was the man who played Ian Chesterton, who was the original companion of Doctor Who, really, alongside Susan and Barbara. He was, I think, quite, not unsung, because, I don't think these words that can explain how important he is to the show.
No, he had an integral part to play in Doctor Who, in getting us the show we know today. Without him and the other actors at the time, none of this would have ever happened. We wouldn't be doing this.
No, exactly. He helped make the show a success when it was in its very early days. I mean, he's the hero, essentially, of the first, especially the first couple of stories before you have the moment of everyone sort of coming together a bit. But those first couple of stories, it's Ian that's the hero, and the Doctor's still a bit of this, like, we don't really know who he is yet. And I think it's down to Ian and Barbara's influence that humanises him in a way and makes the Doctor more of the character we know now. So, I'm actually genuinely gutted about this one. This is, it's never easy when you lose someone integral to the show like that, but someone who is really a founding member of its success is tricky. But 99 is a fantastic age. He came back and had a very lovely cameo at the end of The Power of the Doctor, and has done some great stuff in the expanded media and conventions and everything. So yeah, genuine huge loss to the Who universe today, and I think the TARDIS will be a little bit emptier now without William Russell here. So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, so today we're obviously reviewing that wonderful piece of Doctor Who that was known as Dot and Bubble.
Yes, written by Russell T Davies, directed by Dylan Holmes Williams, and broadcast on the 1st of June 2024. Now, this one, I said last week was 73 yards, and that might be the most divisive episode of the series.
This is Marmite.
Yeah, I think this one, although I say this, the reaction so far, we're recording this now on Tuesday the 4th, so it's been a couple of days, and it's been more positive than I thought. And, there's a lot of stuff to get into with this, and, especially the ending, which we will get on to. I do think that this midnight release is definitely impacting what I'm taking away from episodes, because midnight is very late, or early, depending on your point of view, on a Friday after a full week of work and everything, and all the other stuff we get up to in the week, doing this and
just generally having a life, really.
Or just trying your bloody best to. You do miss things. I mean, I didn't piece together 73 yards until I really sat down and thought about it and watched it again. And I didn't pick up on a lot of the hints that form the ending, which is the crux of this story, essentially, the first time round. And I noticed a lot more second time round. And I put on Twitter my initial reaction to this. And I will fully concede now that I was incorrect. There are definitely hints. I missed out on a lot of dialogue. I missed out on stuff to do with not just the racism aspect of the story, but to do with the slugs monster, the man traps, I think they're called. Stuff like that. I missed out on a lot, and I was really, really tired. We all were. It'd been a really busy week last week. But yeah, I just want people to know that I'm not a complete idiot, nor am I actively being sort of burying my head in the sand, or just being generally a bit, what's the word?
Cynical?
No, not even cynical. I can't even think of what the word is. Sort of oblivious.
Yeah.
I just missed things on account of the fact that I wasn't paying enough attention. But basically, long story short, I missed stuff the first time round, and after watching it again, because I think the initial reaction we both had to this, I think, was quite negative, really.
Yeah, especially because, just jumping ahead to the ending, it was that reveal of the racism that, because we were knackered, I don't think we'd paid much attention to what was actually going on throughout the episode.
Yeah, I think I noticed one or two things, but I didn't think it was going to form the ending. I went into this completely cold. I sort of tried to give myself another Wild Beyonder for this series, so I picked this one to sort of stay away from everything. I didn't watch any of the clips, didn't look at any of the reviews. I saw one review that I tried to sort of get away from, where it just said that it was the last paragraph talking about Shooty Gatwa's performance. So I knew that there was going to be a really good performance of some sort from Shooty Gatwa
By
towards
God,
the end.
there was.
Yeah, and like I said, we'll get on to that. But like I stayed away from the trailers doing it. I saw the Next Time trailer, and that was it.
Yeah.
I didn't see any of the TV spots, the preview clips, the podcast clips, any images, nothing. Just tried to go into as cold as possible, because that's what really, I think I really liked that last year, and I wish that we could do that all the time. And I'm going to try and do that. Just pick one episode from each season from now on, and just try and stay away from anything around it.
Yeah.
But we'll get into this one. We've got here. I went into this sort of maybe thinking it's going to be like a social media thing, because I think that can be quite cringe in general. I mean, even bits, Russell's done stuff with social media before, and it's either been like really effective, or it's just been a bit sort of slapdash. I mean, I go back to the giggle and the whole thing about like, oh, everyone's on a screen now. You're all on screens, and it's like you're making a TV show that is broadcast on a screen.
Yeah, I think
don't alienate your audience.
No, I think this as an episode for dealing with social media and its impact on our lives, I think they've done that quite well.
Yeah, I think
everyone's caught up in their own little bubble.
Yeah, I think the I don't often say this, but I think it's the political and social commentary in this is the strongest part of the whole episode for me. I like when Doctor Who balances the social commentary with a really cool, engaging story, and this did social commentary really, really well, and there was some sort of a plot to it. This is by far the weakest for me so far, and
it is the story that's let this one down, I think. It holds up better on a rewatch.
100%, and I
do think that comes down to us not being as tired when we're watching it, because it's not midnight. But yeah, it was. I still left that thinking, I still can't believe I've watched this twice.
Yeah, I think it's not one that I'll ever sort of pick out on a rewatch. I think part of the issue is that it doesn't feel very Doctor Who-y in the sense that we've got two Doctor Light episodes back to back, and in this one both the Doctor and Ruby take a backseat, and all of the narrative is placed on Callie Cook's shoulders, who I think, by the way, whatever you think of Lindy, you're meant to think that. You're meant to think, oh, I hate her so much, she's so annoying.
She was written so well.
Yeah, and acted perfectly. Like, Callie Cook was great in the role at bringing this horrible, horrible character to life. One thing I will say straight off the bat, positive, Dylan Holmes-Williams, again, knocking it out of the park with the direction. There was some, it's not as stylized as 73 Yards, but it's not meant to be, because 73 Yards is so different, you kind of have to. But there were still bits in this I really liked directionally. I think the design of it with the pastel colours and the sort of postmodern design of everything was very cool. Like I said, Callie Cook is fantastic, but this thing I struggle with is because there's nothing we see that's redeeming about Lindy, I don't connect her in the case of, God, I hope she gets out of this okay.
Oh no, when that happened in the episode, I was ready to, I'd happily kill her. But I was really hoping she'd get killed off.
But even before that, when she just, the way she talks to people, and it's that sort of quite cringe, it's, like Ruby said, she's one of the rich kids and stuff, and it's like, oh no, and I just can't, there's nothing redeeming. She's not trying to save anyone else, she's just purely in it to get her own skin, and she tries to get her best to get her friends to listen and everything. But yeah, it's a bit hard to get on board with her as a protagonist, even though I know she's not meant to be a likable character. Yeah. I can see for sure what this episode is doing socially and everything, especially like on a rewatch, like I said. But there's bits and pieces of it were just a bit cringe. The Dr. P thing is the closest they've ever done to a Dr. Pooh joke. They had Itsy Witsy Teeny Weeny Yellow Polka Dot Bikini in, which is a banger. And it's been stuck in my head for the whole day beforehand somehow. I think I must have heard it somewhere. Yeah. Because I've been seeing it all day and it popped up in that. I was like...
And if you notice as well, when she's scared, she's just sadistically humming it, to try and calm herself down as well.
Been there. I mean, the Doctor does it with the Skyboat song and boom. Yeah. Callie Cook's Lindy does it with Itsy Bitsy Teeny Weeny Yellow Polka Dot Bikini. And like I said, it's directed fantastically again, but there are very cringe moments with the social media stuff, where she says, oh my God, you're so offensive, just because it's like, no one actually really speaks like that. And the Dr. P stuff and all that, it's really, it's very much like this is a man in his 60s doing a commentary on young people in social media. But what I like is that this commentary, it's not just people being like social media is bad, get off your phones kind of thing. It's a case of it's the dangers of social media and the dangers of these like white supremacist echo chambers that formulate and that are fueled by different sort of political and social groups and sort of these horrible influencers like people like Andrew Tate and stuff like that. It's that bubble of not that what I mean, that's a bad example, but it's that kind of like you have certain people that have these huge followings, and it exists within Doctor Who. You look at those horrible YouTube channels like Balstrek and Nerdrotic and all that, where they just want to drag everything because everyone on the screen isn't white, and they've got like you read all the comments and there's so many people that agree, and you just think this is what happens because they live in that sort of extreme right-wing bubble. When they go. They come up with all these nicknames for the characters and stuff, and they misgender characters like Rose Noble and stuff. It's all really horrible stuff, and it's like you can just look at it critically and go, these are bits I like, these are bits I didn't like.
Yeah.
It's not hard to not be a prick, basically.
Yeah.
Is what I'm trying to say.
No,
and
I completely agree.
But I think that's a very cool look at, even to a lesser extent, people like Ian Levine, who only share their own projects through his own Facebook group and stuff, and creating that sort of like, everyone loves me, and everyone else outside of this little bubble that I've created is completely wrong. That stuff really works. But what is the rest of the episode doing? It's just a runaround.
Yeah.
With some slugs, which admittedly look quite cool.
Yeah, no, it was just Swansea natives, that's all.
Hello to all of our Swansea fans. He said that, not me.
Upper Bluebirds. Yeah, no, I found it quite funny that she was so caught up in her phone and stuff, and obviously with the bubble, safe but phone, it was a bubble.
Yeah.
With a dot and bubble thing, you got the arrows that direct them round stuff, and like you see that thing before the title sequence of her walking around someone getting eaten.
Yeah.
And like the reliance on that, so when she's taking that down and is trying to walk, she's like struggling. She walks into a lamppost, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, there's even that first bit where the Doctor and Ruby are there on like the Teams call and tell her to drop the bubble, and she can't walk. And I'm like, no, but if she can still physically walk, she doesn't need something to tell her forward to be able to move. It's muscle memory. Yeah. That made no sense. That really made me go, oh no, this is where we're going. We're going down this route of nobody can function without their phone and everything. And it's like,
yeah, it was a bit.
I don't like being negative, and I think that's what put me in such a sour taste, because everything else I've like, although it might not have been the most amazing episode of Doctor Who ever, I could still look at it and go, well, I had fun with this, and I had fun with bits of this.
Yeah.
Not a lot.
No.
I do love the whole metaphor of like eat the rich though, because that's quite funny.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of, we have sort of a pseudo doctor in the form of Ricky September, who everybody seems to be praising, although he's still part of this fine time colony, so he still would have absolutely hated anybody that wasn't white. So maybe think about who you're standing there, and I hate that word. I hate that word so much. I don't know why. It really just it grates me.
Yeah, but then we're touching on to that racism stuff as well within the episode as a sort of like subtle political commentary on this one. And you get the quotes like, I thought you looked the same, he'll be disciplined, I can't wait. And just the little things like blocking the Doctor just because, like, effectively, it was because he was a different colour to the rest of them.
Well, that's it. She blocks the Doctor because he's black, but then gives Ruby, although she's not like completely open to Ruby and everything.
She's more open than she was to him.
She gives him more of a chance, and the only reason she's not into Ruby is because she's not part of her close group of friends. So she's like, well, who are you? But okay, I'll listen to you. But straight away, she blocks the Doctor and then says, I thought you all looked the same, which is a line I completely missed on the first watch. Yeah. I think that had actually been when I actually got up to get a drink, to be fair, or when I was poking Michael with a stick because he fell asleep.
Yeah, see, I thought I'd heard that. And like I thought I made that bit up, and I was like, no, surely Doctor Who wouldn't have done that. And then on the rewatch, I was like, oh Christ.
This is the thing, and this is what I want to sort of make clear, is that I don't for a second think that they should never have touched on the fact that the Doctor is black for the first time. That is too much of a thing. Like when Jodie Whittaker took over as the first female Doctor, there was an episode in her first season where she goes back to the witch trials and struggles as a Doctor who has none of that natural. She doesn't have the natural authority that she has when they've been the Doctor in the past, because. Yeah. And it's not something that she can change, because if you look at something like Midnight, that's the Doctor with no authority, and that works because of the drama. The Witchfinders is not Midnight, and I'm not trying to pretend it is for a second, but I like the fact that they go, we're going to give a whole episode to devote into this massive change for the Doctor. And that's what I think the mistake is with here. Not the fact that they've touched on the fact that the Doctor's now black. This should have been given a whole episode and do it properly.
Yeah.
Because, number one, which this isn't the priority at all. Number one, it's more dramatically satisfying because at the end of the day, this is a piece of fiction. It's a piece of media.
Yeah, you can do one hell of a good story with it as well.
Yeah, you can drop the Doctor into a situation where immediately people don't trust him. I think doing this in an episode where it's already pretty much Doctor Light, not as much as other episodes, but the Doctor is in a very reduced capacity and doesn't even appear and interact in person with other characters until like the last 5 minutes. Having that as your episode where you tackle the fact that the Doctor's black for the first time just is like, really? You're going to do it here?
Yeah, especially as it was the first thing he's filmed.
That was impressive. I'll give him that. I mean, one thing I will say is that I haven't got a single fault to say about any acting in this, but especially Ncuti Gatwa. I think that was so well done.
That was incredible.
You look at that scene and, it would be very easy to cross the line into melodrama and take all the seriousness out of it or underplay it and it doesn't register just how much of a big deal this is. But he just strikes that perfect balance, like straight down the middle of this is an appropriate reaction and it's well acted and it really sort of leaves you going, oh, bloody hell. That did just happen, didn't it?
Yeah.
And it's also quite interesting to look at it from a colonization angle as well, because the white people of, well, I don't know why I did that, they are white, but they're going out into the native lands of the planet that Fine Time is part of, and they're going to go try and make a life out there and everything, and it's like, that's another interesting angle to take of it. And, like I said, willful ignorance and stupidity are not the same thing as genuinely missing things on a first watch, especially when that first watch happens to be at midnight.
Yeah.
Because I completely admit that I did miss stuff, 100%. But I think doing it for the sake of like a twist at the end just feels a bit like a cheap shot in a way.
Yeah, I mean, I feel in terms of the story, like especially leading up towards the end as well, like the main thing is like, what the hell are these slugs? As well,
yeah,
so that never gets picked up on.
Yeah, we never hear anything about them.
You just get the slugs, you see them escape him, you don't see him again, and then boom, the racism angle.
Yeah, I missed a bit about the Doctor saying they were man-made, for example, because I was like, why are they going alphabetically if they're just slugs? Why do they care about that? And I missed it, but then you go, man-made by who? Who's made these slugs? Where? Was it the Dots?
Yeah, it was the Dots that made them.
It was the Dots. See, I still haven't picked everything.
That's what I picked up. They made them to take out the humans because I think it was the Dots grew to hate humans.
Right. Okay. I see.
I think that was it. I'm not altogether sure. So let us know in the comments, please, because I'd love some more explanation. Because it was just sort of like thrown in there as like just on a whim, just be like, oh yeah, this is why, and then boom, never touched on again.
Yeah.
And I think that was the problem because it was so slapdash.
Yeah, well, this is my issue. I don't think this would have been anywhere near as bad if we'd already had an episode that dealt with the Doctor's race.
Yeah. Again, it's I mean, we might get that anyway, especially with the Bridgerton episode coming up next.
Yeah, but then I think that should have been the other way around.
Yeah, but then that's been the whole thing with this series.
This is true, but even with what we've got so far, I think that there should have been more of a focus on, and you can create a really interesting story from that about the Doctor having to try and save a group of people who don't trust him purely because of his ethnicity, and that's nothing he can change, and he has to try and win them back on side and stuff. Or you just take it for the full angle of what it is, or even just do this episode, but have that reveal halfway into the episode, not in the last 5 minutes, because you just sit there then and go, but there's nothing, we don't get to see more of his reaction apart from when he walks into the TARDIS, and you just leaves it on a really downbeat ending. And one other thing that I don't really, I get why it was done, is that I like Doctor Who to be very hopeful, and I like the idea that in the future, in this like society in the future, that we've got and I'm not trying to say for a second that that's what will happen, but I like Doctor Who, in the Doctor Who universe, for example, to be a bit more positive and hopeful with that. And that's what makes me think, like, if this was a historical episode or something, it wouldn't be that twist because it would have happened before. But to just have this future setting and everything where everything's kind of fine, but it's not, and the hints throughout it, to then go, bam, at the ending, and you just go, I'm really struggling to articulate what I'm trying to say here, because I'm trying to make sure I'm putting across what I'm saying properly, but not just dragging it, because I don't want to come across as someone, because like I said, absolutely deal with this. It's such an important thing to do, but it deserves the time to do it sensitively and narratively well, because at the end of the day, Doctor Who is a piece of fiction. Yeah. It's a piece of media. You want to construct the greatest piece of media, and you don't want to use, like I said before, you've got to have a good balance of narrative and commentary, which is something Doctor Who has done very well in the past and also done much poorer than this. Not to drag previous eras and everything, but you know what we're going with that.
Yeah.
You know, you look at Orphan 55. That is a story revolving around the political and social commentary of global warming and climate change and everything. But the story around it is so poor that you just go, oh, I don't care. And to do that with something like racism is very dangerous.
Yeah.
But I think we're in the minority in terms of the people who didn't enjoy it, because loads of people have enjoyed this story, and that's great if you did.
Yeah,
really.
it just wasn't for us.
Yeah, it's like I said, I wanted to do the ending first because you kind of can't really touch on other things in the episode without talking about the ending. But the rest of the episode just feels so like generic run around. It's not even running down corridors. Well, it is actually at one point running down corridors, but
Yeah.
a lot of it is just like, I can't walk without my phone. What am I going to do?
Yeah, and she gets saved by Ricky, and he acts as the dot for her, Ricky September.
Yeah.
Generally interesting character. I really enjoyed that. He seems not caught. He's a big social influencer in this place, and he's not caught up with all the dot and bubble and all the drama on that. He puts his videos up in the morning and switches it off and actually educates himself for the rest of the day, which I think was a nice little throw in for this.
I think it's interesting because you've got to have someone to show the other side of what the people in this colony are like. You know, you've got to have that opposition to show this is what most people are like, trapped in the bubble, but this is what you could be like. And, you know, I think Ricky would not be perfect if if the rest of Fine Time is anything to go by, like we see at the ending, and just how dreadful everyone in this colony are and should all be fed to the slugs. He's definitely more of a compelling character, and he's got more redeemable features than Lindy. So that's why you invested in him.
Especially after what happened.
Yeah, well, I mean, Lindy
He's a cow.
she's a murderer. She's a murderer. She fucking kills him. Sorry.
No, she does. It's just absolutely horrible. This is the moment where everyone despised Lindy. She was already grating me at the best of point.
Yeah, but that's the point
like
where
this.
she goes from being annoying and unlikable to downright a terrible, terrible human being.
Yeah.
Because
She correctly reminds the AI, whatever it is, that Ricky September wasn't actually born as a September. He was born with a surname,
Coombs,
I think it was. Which is, obviously it was going down in alphabetical order. He was going to be up after her at some point. And yeah, it was just like, what the hell?
yeah, and it's a really brutal death.
They showed it.
I think that's probably one of the most brutal deaths. It's certainly the most brutal death we've had in New Who, I think.
Yeah,
you know,
Christ.
it's
I was surprised they showed it.
you have the dot, and it's very clever. And again, this is down to Dylan Holmes Williams' fantastic direction of the dot is flying around, he's beating it off and everything. Oh, of course, there'll be an innuendo somewhere.
Yeah, he's beating off a dot.
Beating off his little dot. And it flies into like the piping and everything. Oh, for fuck's sake. And he's hitting away, and luckily then it goes away for a bit, and he thinks it's just got a bit of time, and then it flies through like a hook thing on the ceiling that knocks into the floor, and then Lindy explains that his real name is actually Coombs or Cooper or something like that.
Yeah.
Something much higher up the alphabet. And it flies through his head
Yeah.
in a very clever direction where the flash of the dot, because the dot is a red dot by now, obviously.
Evil.
Yeah. And that dot flashes at the moment it sort of hits him, so you could almost imagine it being his brains.
Yeah, it was a really cool shot, very bloody brutal.
Yeah, and it sort of does grab your attention a bit after this sort of like, oh, isn't this a campy little...
Oh.
Well, McGann's had enough. Isn't this like a campy little run around and everything? Oh, okay. Oh,
No.
she's evil. She's really evil. And then, you know, you get the reveal at the end then, which, as we've just touched on there, was
Just
fantastically acted, but I think it needed a bit more to flesh
cheaply
it
done,
out.
I think.
Yeah, and the thing is, though, despite what we're saying about the ending, about, you know, I would have preferred it done like this. It doesn't matter what we think. This is not a story about us. And if the only people that matter in this opinion are fans who are people of colour, you know, who have not necessarily experienced this, but they might have done, and they might have known people who have done, or, you know, just having the fact that the Doctor being black, you can't just go, you know, because there were so many people, you know, that were talking when Shuigat was cast going, oh, that's cool, the Black Doctor, I hope they don't make a big deal out of it. And go, no, of course you make a big deal out of it. Of course you do. You don't just go, we've got a black doctor, but we're going to pretend everything's fine, because that's just burying your head in the sand. And that's just as bad as the people that are going, Doctor Who shouldn't be black, Doctor Who shouldn't be this, Doctor Who should just be white people everywhere. Yeah. We've had 60 years of that. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what we think.
Change is good.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, without change, like, we wouldn't know that Jodie wasn't possibly the best suited actress for the role of the Doctor. Equally, we'd never have got Ncuti Gatwa without change.
Yeah, no, exactly.
He's an incredible Doctor. Like,
I
really love him playing the Doctor because he's brilliant in the role. And Millie is brilliant in the role.
Do you know what else I love about the one thing I think that it really was handled well by it is that it's not just the Doctor accepting the defeat of these racists going, oh great, well they're a bunch of racists, well, I'm going to do that. He still goes, I don't care what you think, I still want to save you because I'm the Doctor, and that is the Doctor, like boiled down to the most like simplest minute point. It doesn't matter who you are, the Doctor will want to save your life if you let him or her or they or whoever. That's the Doctor.
Yeah.
And that's what's important, because, you know, there's so many ways that scene could have been done, and it could have been really, really bad. And the scene itself in isolation isn't a bad scene. I think it's just something like this for me is something that you do either earlier in the episode or you make the whole episode around that.
Yeah.
And, you know, different people have had different opinions. Even fans of colour have gone, that was really great, that's exactly what I wanted. Or people have gone, this is how I would have done it. I'm not actually saying I would have done it, because one, I am not a screenwriter or a showrunner or have any sort of talent or like acceptancy or not acceptancy, what's the word, like suitability for that role, as much as I'd love to. As much as I sit there and think up Doctor Who ideas in my head, it's never going to happen. Two, I'm white, this story isn't about me. My opinion, doesn't matter. I'm reviewing this as an episode of Doctor Who because that's a whole shtick. But realistically, this doesn't matter.
Well, that's gone deep, isn't it?
Sorry, it does matter. That's not what I meant to say.
It matters that they get that element of the scene right.
Yeah, and the thing is, though,
majorly important that scene is done right.
And if the vast majority of people of colour who watch this show say that's exactly how you should do it, that is what is important.
Yeah.
That's that, and then it's a success.
Yeah.
We can sit here and go, oh, I don't really get why the slugs were there, and I found the characters really annoying, but the buildings were pretty, and I liked all the pretty colours and everything. But that's all it is. It's service level for us, you know?
Yeah.
I'm happy to critique anything, but it's not for me, this story. Not because it's not for me as in like, oh, it's not for me, I don't like it. It's the weakest one for me because of before the ending, or at least before... You don't have a lot
of relatability.
Yeah, I can't relate to anyone there because I'm quite good at just chucking my phone on the sofa and just ignoring it for a bit.
You and me both.
That's a lie.
I've gotten a lot better. And besides, I'm not rich. I'm an apprentice. I have no money.
I work in admin.
But yeah.
And I wouldn't want to go to a planet like this anyway, because this is the whole point. Because not only are they in their own bubble of the Dotton bubble, the whole of Fine Time is a force field. It's a bubble for these people who all think the same way and need to preserve their, preserve the, was it something about the quality or something? And, you know, even one of the characters goes like, oh, stay back before you contaminate and stuff. And you're like, oh, you're all awful people. Yeah. Like, get eaten by the slugs. You deserve it.
Yeah, we kind of wanted them to die at the end of the episode.
I hope there was, I really thought
it would have been a bit too cheap, though.
I would have loved to just have been like a Merker or something in that lake, and I hope it gobbles the whole boat up and they all die horribly in a big green bubble wrap mess.
Yeah, I just hope we get like another episode where we watch him die. But on a happier note, this on a rewatch was a better episode than I originally thought.
Oh yeah.
I did say it was only just above Orphan 55 in the tier of worst Doctor Who. I will rescind that big time now and put this higher up. It's still not amazing. It's, for me, it's not, from a story perspective, purely story perspective, doesn't do a lot for me. So it's still quite low down. I'd give this about 4.
I would probably, I'd probably agree. Yeah, it's the weakest. Like, that's the thing. I came away from it. I didn't think it was the worst thing ever when I watched it first time around, but I definitely wasn't enamoured by it. Watched it the second time and saw more of the hints and the things, but I feel like I said, if you're going to do something like that, you've got to give it the respect and the sensitivity that it deserves, and not just go, hey, look, everyone hates the Doctor because he's black, and isn't that a cool twist? And you go, well, no, that's not cool at all. Also, Russell, you're a 60-year-old white man. This, like, I think if you're going to do a Doctor being, you know, in a situation where his race is against him because of the reaction he's getting from the people around him, that is a story that you have a black writer write.
Yeah.
Because, you know, a lot of people point that out on Twitter and stuff, and I completely agree there. And, you know, I really hope that some more black creatives get a chance to write for Shooty's daughter. Because,
Yeah.
you know, I think it goes without saying like that. I don't need to justify that. And if you think I need to justify that, that's a problem with you. But no, I think apart from that, though, this episode hasn't got much to it. It's just, it's a very unlikable character, a very annoying character who then turns out to be a horrible, horrible person. But even from the start, a very unlikable and annoying character, played very well, but still an annoying character, just running around and getting instructions off a Teams call. And that just, it's not engaging telly.
No, it was like I remember.
me.
No, I'm the same as you. It wasn't captivating for me. But I mean, let us know what you guys think in the comments, please. We'd love to read them if you guys agree with us or not.
Let us know what you think.
Yeah, let us know.
We, you know, that's the whole reason we do this. We like to do this to share our opinions, and we like to see what other people think as well. And if we could be the only two people in the world that didn't like this episode, that's fine.
Yeah, I'd honestly, if you guys have got a lot more positives to say about this, I'd love to hear them, and I'd take them on board going into a rewatch, and then it might up it even further for me. It might make it a better episode. Who knows? It may change our opinions on this, but right now, it's just not for me. It's not for you either, is it?
No, I like like I said, I love the political messaging of the dangers of social media and echo chambers and stuff like that, and the fact that they did touch on the Doctor's race. I just think it could have been done a lot better, and the rest of the story just doesn't engage me in the slightest. But we still have to pick a highlight. I went first last week, so it's your turn.
The Doctor's acting.
Damn it, that was mine.
It's the only one I can bloody think of.
Well, yeah, obviously, I think it goes without saying that Shooty Gatwa's performance in the whole episode, obviously, but the final scene especially is just one of the most well-acted scenes in Doctor Who history.
Yeah.
If I had to pick my own highlight, though, just to be different, it's down to Dylan Holmes-Williams' direction.
Yeah, it was done really well. It was
stuff
incredible.
Like with the dot and bubble and everything, and the look of everything, it just looks as all aesthetically, it's very pretty, and that's obviously to hide the fact that it's actually a very dark place to be. Loved all of that. As well, Millie in the scene at the end as well. They say a lot of good acting is all about reacting and all that, and I think she reacts in such a cool way. It's that she doesn't try and take the shine, and she lets the Doctor have his moment of outburst and anger, and does go to comfort him, but like sort of still lets him have that moment. Because quite easy, it'd be so easy to go, "Oh, Doctor, it's okay, come here. Oh, I'll look after." That's missing the point of the whole thing.
Yeah,
you know,
I agree.
And it's obviously going to be something that hits home for Ruby as well, because her mum and her grandma are both black. You know, she's probably seen this firsthand in her own life before meeting the Doctor.
Experienced it firsthand.
Well, yeah, you know, this is unfortunately the sorry state of the country that we live in. But this is probably our most sensible conversation I think we've ever had, and that's why it's really annoying that I'm struggling to articulate things, because I didn't really plan ahead of what I was going to say. So if a lot of this sounds off the cuff, it's because it is. There's not many notes on that laptop page. Mostly because I was very tired.
Yeah.
I have seen it twice though, so that's the whole point. You've got to watch things twice to fully. I can't review something seeing it once.
No, you need to watch it more than once, because there's bits you missed first time.
Which is exactly the issue.
And I think next week we should probably wait until the rewatch to react to what we've seen. If we're staying up till midnight for it.
Sorry.
So
I won't be watching the next one at midnight, to be fair.
No, that's fair. Actually, yeah, okay, we can react live on broadcast.
I just need to have a bit more energy, really, and that would have been fine. But
yeah,
that was a lot.
Yeah, that was a lot.
We will be doing more fun stuff soon. I swear.
Yes.
If you thought that was a bit heavy, I don't know. Dr. P, that was funny, wasn't it? It's just piss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you did like this video, thank you for that. Please hit that like button, and as we said, leave your thoughts in the comments below.
Or tell us we were wrong.
Tell us we were wrong. We've been told that enough this week, to be fair, but you can never hurt.
Inside and outside of the podcast.
And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I was looking up at the sky for inspiration for a second just to say subscribe, because my head went whoosh.
I don't know where you were looking, because there's a ceiling there.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, and we will see you guys next week.
For Rogue.
Yes.
And then we've got the finale, and then a wrap-up, and then some interesting...
We've got another episode and then the finale.
It's a two-part finale. I was including them both.
Yeah, we got Rogue. Oh, right, okay, yeah. Never mind.
And then we've got some interesting news coming up about what's happening next. So stay tuned. We're usually a lot more fun than this.
Yeah.
I felt like we can't really do our usual jokes and banter with this one because
No, it's too serious.
It's too important to make sure that
The right messages are going across.
yeah, and not just like we're not trying to conform to fit. Like going like, oh, I need to make sure I say the right thing. Blah blah blah. It's just being respectful,
Yeah.
and that's what Doctor Who's about.
Yeah.
So remember that when you call us all wrong on Twitter.
Yeah.
See you later.
See you later.